The NFL draft has wrapped up, and the Packers have made their final of 11 selections in the 2022 event. So, me and Big B are here today to give you our brief initial thoughts on the selections. And then later on in the week, we'll have our draft recap episode where we take a full dive in to all of these new Green Bay Packers. So let's start off. A lot of action on day 3 for the Packers. They started off at pick 132 in the 4th round by selecting Nevada wide receiver Romeo Dobbs. Nobody really knows. Like I know in the video that Romeo did for the Packers social, like he said Dobbs, like the tire store. But anywhere else you look, it seems that it's Dubs. But I guess we'll trust the source, the primary source in Romeo himself. So Romeo Dobbs from Nevada, 132, another really speedy guy here. Let's see if I can find his physical traits. That'd be helpful to know. But just really fast. And you'll love to see the Packers add in some more wide receiver depth there. I know even more people with this selection, again, made the comparison to MVS, which I don't know how many Marquez replacements we need. I mean, he was only one player, but I have no problem with the Packers adding some more speed into that room, even though Romeo did have a 4.7 40, something like that. So that doesn't show up in the testing. However, when you turn on the tape, or what I consider YouTube highlights, he can turn those burners on the outside. Big B, what are your thoughts on the second of 3 wide receiver selections from the Packers?
Yeah, I know yesterday, aka day 2, we said Watson was going to be kind of the MVS replacement, but no, Romeo is the MVS replacement. He's still a little bit raw, still going to need a little bit of time to develop, but he's definitely going to take over the MVS role. I'm really excited. He's our deep threat now, and I think it was last year he had 8 touchdowns on 20-plus yards thrown in the air. So he was definitely a deep threat in Nevada, and I definitely is going to be our deep threat here in Green Bay. I really like it. I think it's a great pick.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see the competition that happens amongst all these wide receivers in camp, because they are all just at the same level. They all just have the same amount to prove. Romeo will probably earn a roster spot, but it's going to be really interesting to see him, Torre, and a few other undrafted free agents compete with the guys who have been there for a few years now. Malik Taylor, Juwan Winfrey, and a lot of other guys I'm sure will be in that mix. So I'm excited to see what happens there this summer. Then at pick 140, just 8 picks after, the Packers went with the versatile offensive lineman Zach Tom from Wake Forest. Look, when Zach was selected by the Packers, I said, wait, he's still on the board? Like, this was a guy who I heard of as a day 2 pick. So the fact that the Packers were able to get him with a compensatory pick in the 4th round, that seems like a steal to me. Big B, any thoughts you want to add here on Tom?
Yeah, he is definitely a steal, and like you said, he's very versatile. Good chance he'll probably play center with us, but very good pick. And I actually went back on the PFF mock draft simulator, and he went before the Packers picked with the 53rd pick. So that's pretty wild.
Yeah, there was
on the draft board. So getting him right at that spot was very good.
Yeah, he played left tackle and center for long periods of time with Wake Forest. So those are pretty much the 2 positions that a lot of people talk about as being the hardest to play. So he has a lot of experience there. Like we both mentioned, a steal, it seems. And there was a lot of names that I said, he is still there and could not believe it. Like even going into the 7th round, I could not believe who we were selecting. And it almost makes me nervous because I'm like, shoot, this is definitely going to get a lot of A-plus draft grades from analysts here. And usually the analysts are wrong. So I don't know if I want them like in our draft. I don't know if I can have that. I think we need a little bit of pressure, a little bit of doubts on our draft class for it to turn out good.
Yes.
Um, and then moving on to the fifth round with our one selection, we selected Kingsley Enegbar, another hard to pronounce last name. JJ, Big B, can you share this story here because it is phenomenal? Share the story on how JJ became Kingsley's nickname here.
He got it from a child show. I forgot what it was called. Right? JJ the Jet Airplane
Yep.
thingamabob. Very interesting. Apparently, he was obsessed with that. So, yeah, that's pretty
Man,
wild. Yes.
how much? I think you gotta like a show a lot as a kid for it to become your nickname.
Yeah.
Like, shoot, thank God my nickname isn't like Boots the monkey from Dora or Barney. I don't know, man. Like,
I'm
Kingsley.
officially calling you Barney now. So.
Oh no. But Kingsley must really like JJ the Planet's kid. Um, moving on to the actual what he adds as a player now. This was a very top heavy class for outside linebackers, unfortunately, and the Packers were not able to get their hands on one early on day one or day two, which I wouldn't change any of their selections. Besides maybe Quay Walker at 22, there was you still had Karlaftis on the board, you still had Johnson on the board, but the Packers, will trust them and their scouts that think that Quay adds more to their team than a rotational piece early on in his career. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But they got Kingsley here in round 5. Doesn't seem like he's too explosive of a pass rusher. I'm definitely going to have to look more into him, though, because right now, to me, he just seems like a little bit of settling for outside linebacker that wasn't available. So we'll have to see how he ends up playing out. Then moving on to the 7th round, where the Packers had 4 selections. For the love of God, this was a long 6th and 7th round to watch. But first at 228, they went with Tariq Carpenter, safety / linebacker hybrid, not too big of a body, but all that you need to know about him is special teams. Know that he's a special teamer and call it a day. Thank you, Rich Bisaccia.
Yes.
Then at pick 234, they went with defensive end / tackle Jonathan Ford out of Miami. This dude is literally just, a wall of iron. Like, I just looked at his stomach and I'm like, how are you 300 plus pounds, dude? I genuinely don't get where that 300 pounds is. A big, strong body. And Big B, I'm going to ask you again for the story because you pointed it out to me while we were getting ready to record on, Jonathan Ford connection with a current member of the Packers.
Yeah, so apparently Jonathan and TJ Slayton went to middle school together.
That's
wild.
Yeah.
That's all I need to know.
Yeah. Slayton going to Florida up there in the northern part of the state. So, I feel bad for those lunch ladies at that middle school, and I hope the cooks there were getting a raise at that time.
I hope so.
And like all those people that sat with TJ and Jonathan, they had to like guard their food.
Yes.
Like I would not want to be around them.
Shoot, they probably had their own separate table.
They probably had to. Then at pick 249, another one that I was like, whoa, that seems like a steal because I know this guy's name. That's kind of a miracle. And that is at offensive tackle from Penn State, Rasheed Walker. Like I said, he's considered a steal right now. It just seems like he has a lot to work on. He has all of the not necessarily the traits, but the physical traits to be able to become a high-end starting right tackle. So you love to see that. Needs to work on some technicalities. That's just the notes I've gathered. Then on to their final selection at pick 258, they went with a wide receiver, Samori Toure. And where did he go to school, Big B?
Nebraska.
Nebraska, a Cornhusker here for the Packers' final pick of this draft. He's pretty fast. Another fast guy here. Now we have 4 replacements for Marquez Valdez-Scantling. That is so exciting. But no, he ran a 4.40, mostly a player in the slot. So you like to see that. And now, once again, like I said earlier, with Dobbs, we're going to have a feisty wide receiver competition in this offseason program. I cannot wait. Big B, any thoughts you want to add on all those 7th round draft picks I just mentioned?
No, just a brutal 7th round of waiting and more waiting.
Yes, I did. I did know Mr. Irrelevant. Funnily enough, I knew who Brock Purdy was. I like it's becoming a trend. I've known like all these Mr. Irrelevants lately, like Chase Kelly or Chad Kelly, was it from a few years ago that went to the Broncos? Like he was Mr. Irrelevant, and I did a little bit of research on Mr. Irrelevant today, and it has apparently been a thing for a while now. And it used to be a much bigger deal. Like I read on the Wikipedia page for Mr. Irrelevant that in the 1979 draft, the Rams and the Steelers had the last 2 selections of the draft. And so it was the Rams first, the Steelers last. And there was so much publicity with it. They wanted their player and their team to get all that recognition that the Rams, who were ahead of the Steelers, like I said, they passed up on their pick. They said, no, I don't want to take my pick now. You take yours so I can have my pick last. And the Steelers said, no, I want the last pick. And then Pete Rozelle had to say, okay, can we stop acting like children? Just select your gosh dang player. And the Steelers ended up getting the last pick. So it's apparently quite a frenzy for Mr. Irrelevant. And then they had to enforce a whole new rule so that teams couldn't pass up on picks. To end it off, I wanted to talk about 2 stories from yesterday from 2 selections that are awesome. First off, Romeo Dobbs in his press conference with the media, he says that his mom, Nikema, became a big Packers fan after the 45th Super Bowl that they won, or it was Super Bowl 45. I wish we've won 45 Super Bowls. So his mom is a Packers fan, and he said that being drafted by the Packers truly is the biggest blessing I've ever received in my life. So that is awesome that he now gets to play for his mother's team. Thanks to Nikema Dobbs for carrying the G. And then you have Tariq Carpenter, and this picture he shared is awesome. Absolutely incredible. He shared on Twitter a picture of him probably at like 9 or 10 years old wearing the Super Bowl XLV champion shirt. I had that same exact shirt. I woke up the morning after the Super Bowl. I was in 1st grade, and my mom already had the shirt somehow, wore it to school, was absolutely ecstatic, even though I was throwing up on the day of the Super Bowl. But I got my Super Bowl shirt. But he tweeted the caption along with it. So grateful to be a Packer. Being a Packer has always been a dream of mine. It's time to get to work. So now I'm automatically rooting for Tariq Carpenter to be the best special teamer there ever was and have a very long, fulfilling career with the Green Bay Packers. That is where we're going to end it off today, recapping the Packers' day 3 selections. Big B, first off, I want to ask you one final question, and then if you want to add any final thoughts, add those in as well. But the Packers, they had a comp pick with Jamal Williams, and it was the one that would end up going to Samori Toure. Do you think the Packers made their compensatory pick for Jamal Williams worth it?
Ask me in 3 years, but right now, absolutely not, because he's going to have to become a Hall of Fame player to even come close to the impact Jamal Williams had on me and the Green Bay Packers organization.
Okay. With all due respect, I study this for a living, and I think that Toure is just going to be the greatest player out there. With all due respect.
Yes. With all due respect, yes.
that's where we'll end it off finally. Make sure to follow us on all the social medias, subscribe to this YouTube channel, and we'll talk to you later this week. And as always, go Pack Go.